Well, good afternoon. I'm pleased to be able to be with you all today to announce that Dr. Joseph Ladapo will be succeeding Dr. Scott Rifkes as the Surgeon General for the state of Florida. Dr. Ladapo comes with us by way of the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. He is married. He has 3 children. He was born in Nigeria and immigrated to the United States with his family when he was 5. His father is a microbiologist and brought his family to the United States to continue his own studies. And the apple doesn't far fall from the tree because Joe has had a remarkable academic and medical career. He graduated from Wake Forest and received his medical degree from Harvard Medical School and his PhD in health policy from Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. He completed his clinical training in internal medicine at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and his medical board certifications include internal medicine, American Board of Internal Medicine in 2011. He had residency at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center East Campus starting in 2011. As a physician in health policy research, his primary work is focused on patient-centered approaches to improving the health of individuals evaluated for coronary artery disease and behavioral economic interventions to promote sustainable cardiovascular health, including among adults with HIV. Dr. Ladapo also leads the health, economic, and quality of life evaluation of multiple NIH-funded randomized trials focused on cardiovascular disease and tobacco cessation. His national honors include the Daniel Ford Award for Health Services and Outcomes Research, and he is also a regular columnist for the Harvard Focus during medical school and residency, where he discussed his experiences on the medical wards and perspective on health policy issues. He comes to Florida with really a superb background, bringing superb intellect, but also I think will bring great leadership. And so this is a big deal to move across the country from Southern California to come to the state of Florida, but we feel that Joe is just the right guy for the job. I think he's going to do very well here, and certainly we're welcoming him with open arms. So, Doctor, the floor is yours.
Hey, hello, I have to check my watch because I'm in a different time zone. Okay, so good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just really very happy to be here in Florida working with Governor DeSantis and the leadership here in Florida, and frankly, hopefully set an example for other states around the country, and maybe even further than that. I talked to the governor, and there are a few things that we're going to keep in mind as we approach public health here in the state of Florida. So the first is that Florida will completely reject fear as a way of making policies in public health. So we're done with fear. That's been something that's been unfortunately a centerpiece of health policy in the United States ever since the beginning of the pandemic, and it's over here. Expiration date, it's done. So we're compassionate. We get it. There are scary things. We've seen a lot of fear from COVID over the almost past year and a half, and it's very understandable. But the way to approach that is not from a place of fear, because it doesn't lead to good decisions. And we've seen a lot of that, where the risks and benefits of decisions haven't been considered wholly or thoughtfully. The second thing that I plan to be sure is very clear in our policy making is that we're going to be very explicit about the differences between the science and our opinions. So we all have opinions, we all have a perspective, and we are absolutely entitled to those perspectives. What's been happening over the past year is that people have been taking the science and they've been misrepresenting it. They've been using the science, and it's been unclear when the discussion about the science ends and discussion about how you feel about the science and what you want people to do with the science begins. And that will never be a problem here. That's never going to be something that we do here. You'll know when we're talking about data, and you'll know when we're talking about our opinions, our impression, our preferences about the data. That will always be clear here. So you can count on that. And then the third thing is that we are going to never lose sight of the fact that public health is not one thing. So public health is not about a single item. It's not about how many cases of COVID there are in a location. It's about, and that is a part of public health, but it's not the only thing. And as all of you know, that's how public health has been treated over the past year and a half. So that's over. It's not going to happen here. We're going to keep, we'll be interested and concerned about all aspects of public health that we think are important. And that goes for, it goes for schools. So this, as just a perfect example of how glaringly we've ignored what public health really means has been how we've just brazenly pulled children who are who need the structure of school and need the structure of a routine in their lives out of school and just and done that. And we've done that for not even, it's terrible to do it for all kids, but we've also done it for kids with disabilities and people who have hardly even batted an eye. Our interest in public health will truly be public health. It will not be sort of one thing or whatever the flavor of the month is going forward. So those are the main items I wanted to communicate to you all. And again, we're really excited about coming here to Florida. Really happy to be here.
Anyone have any questions?
So part of why that is an issue is because of the climate of distrust that has been engendered over the past year and a half. And that was a direct result of scientists, my colleagues, some of them, taking the science and basically misrepresenting it to fit their agendas, their interests, what they wanted to see people do. So it's partly a product of that. And in terms of that, I think vaccines will treat like any other preventive issue. So the goal will be education, and that will be the goal. And this idea that people don't get to make their own decisions, on issues of health related to their own personal health is wrong, and it's not something that we're going to be about. There are good reasons to reject lockdowns. There are a lot of them. One of the things, again, with misrepresentation of science is that a great study, a really high-quality study came out of the National Bureau of Economic Research a few months ago. And no one heard about it because it didn't fit the agendas that some of our public health officials have been advancing. And that study that showed that in the United States, after lockdowns, overall mortality increased. I'm just going to say that again. After lockdowns, overall mortality increased. Lockdowns are bad. Lots of reasons why they're bad. That's just one really good one. So there's this idea that that things are black and white. You wear the mask all the time or you don't, or you have to have the vaccine or you don't. And even with that Great Barrington Declaration, there were a couple things. I talked to Jay before he made it public. There were a couple things that I didn't totally agree with, but the spirit of what they believe that that we need to respect human rights, that people do have autonomy over their lives, and it's not okay to. It's not even not okay, but it's not virtuous and it's not right to just sort of take away those rights from individuals. Completely agree with that. That's why I signed it. So vaccines are up to the person. There's nothing special about them compared to any other preventive measure. So absolutely, great things about vaccines for COVID-19, prevent the risk of serious illness. Fantastic. People get to make a choice about what they want to do with that information. The state should be promoting good health, and vaccination isn't the only path to that. It's been treated almost like a religion, and that's just senseless, right? There are lots of good pathways to health, and vaccination is not the only one. So we support measures for good health. That's vaccination, losing weight, it's exercising more, it's eating more fruits and vegetables, everything. We support it all. As a scientist, this is one of the most startling aspects of the pandemic for me in terms of what some of my colleagues are saying and doing. It is, you don't need to go to medical school to look at the data and see that there's really great protection, terrific protection, durable protection, robust protection, sort of variant protection that confers some resistance to variants. And obviously, the story is still being written, so we don't really know. We don't know, exactly what's going to happen in the future. There's tremendous data that supports the fact that that natural immunity protects people from getting very ill, also protects people from being infected again. And so that's what it is, and that's great.
They think if you tell people recovery from COVID provides strong protection, that some people say, oh, I might as well just go get infected. I have that. And I don't think most people would do it. But even if someone does, you have to say the truth to people. You can't tell noble lies to try to get them to behave in a way that you think you want them to behave in. And so we see that time and time again on this issue of natural immunity. Clearly, if this wasn't something that was durable, you'd have massive reinfections by now. And so that's just the reality. I think if you look at what's going to mediate future waves, that natural immunity is going to be a huge part of it. Telling the truth, I think, is important. And I think that's what Dr. לדאפו understands, that you got to tell people the truth and you got to let them make decisions. They may not always make the decision that you want them to make, but I think that's much better than pulling the wool under their eyes.